This is an NBC News special report.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Laura Jarrett alongside Joe Fryer here in New York. We have breaking news out of Israel this morning where Hamas has launched a surprise attack within Israel's borders overnight. First, launching rockets from the Gaza Strip, then sending militants into the streets of the southern part of Israel. Hundreds of people have been injured. Several have been killed, but that number could be much higher. You are looking at live pictures there.
Let's go right to NBC's Raf Sanchez, who is in the south of Israel. Raf, good morning. What is the latest where you are?
Joe, Laura, good morning. Israelis woke up today to find their worst nightmares had come true in the form of a massive surprise attack by Palestinian militants from Gaza. As we speak, Palestinian gunmen are inside Israeli cities and towns, something we have never before seen on this scale, and they are fighting running gun battles against Israeli ground forces. Hamas, the major Palestinian militant group that controls Gaza, says they have taken Israelis hostage, and they have taken them back inside of Gaza. Now, the Israeli military says this infiltration came by land, by sea, and by air in the form of Hamas gunmen on paragliders infiltrating into Israeli territory, and this was done under the cover of a barrage of more than 2,000 rockets fired in the early hours of this Shabbat morning. Guys, I wanted just to explain to you what the scene is where we are right now. We are on one of the major highways in southern Israel. You would expect this road to be full on a holiday weekend, and instead you can see behind me, this is an Israeli military checkpoint. Israeli forces here are searching all cars that are going past because they do not know at this point where these Palestinian gunmen are, and they are afraid these gunmen may try to be getting north towards Tel Aviv, towards Jerusalem. As we've been here, we have seen just a stream of Israeli special forces driving south towards the Gaza border, and they are heading to confront those gunmen in the towns and cities in the south. Guys.
Rob, just an incredible scene playing out there, the idea of armed gunmen going in. Can you tell us more about the paragliders?
We have never seen anything like this before, Laura. When Hamas has tried to get into southern Israel previously, they have done it sometimes through underground tunnels under the border. They have done it sometimes in small boats going out into the Mediterranean and then back onto the Israeli shoreline. This morning, for the first time, they crossed by air in paragliders. It is not clear how many of them, but these are armed, highly trained Hamas militants landing by air, catching the Israeli state completely by surprise. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed his people earlier today, and he said Israel is at war. This is above and beyond those rounds of fighting that the world has got used to over the last decade, where we see Israel and Hamas fighting for 72 hours a week. This is on a much, much bigger scale. There is at this point no official word on death tolls, but the videos we are seeing are absolutely harrowing, showing bodies, what appear to be bodies of both Israeli soldiers and civilians. And this is a country right now that is bracing for the absolute worst.
Raf, do we have any idea how many of these attackers have infiltrated Israel?
Joe, it's a really good question, and I asked the Israeli military earlier. They would not say, but just judging by the number of locations, at this moment there is fighting. The most recent information we have, at least 5 locations across southern Israel. That suggests that we are looking at squads in large numbers. I asked the Israeli military, are we talking dozens? Are we talking hundreds? They would not say. What they were prepared to say is that Israeli fighter jets are in action right now. We have been seeing them in the skies across southern Israel. They are striking targets inside of Gaza, trying to stop this barrage of rocket fire. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, there's an ambulance just coming past us now. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says what is going on right now in terms of Israeli airstrikes in Gaza is only the beginning of what will be a major, major Israeli retaliation. But, guys, the priority for the Israeli military right now is to regain control of these cities where there are still Israeli civilians inside, and nobody at this point knows the scale of the death toll.
Right,
Guys.
that's got to be the first priority, obviously, Raf. Do we have a sense of exactly how many people were taken? I know you told us that they were going across the border, making sure, obviously, that no more people are taken essentially as hostages. Do we know at all right now?
Laura, there is no more sensitive piece of information in Israel right now than how many people have been taken hostage, how many are alive, or how many are dead. The Israeli government, the nation of Israel, will go to enormous lengths to get its people back, whether they are live civilians, whether they are dead soldiers. And the scale of the Israeli response will be determined by how many Israelis are inside of Gaza right now. If there are civilians in large numbers there, we may see a situation where the Israeli government feels it has no choice. Laura, we're just hearing the air defense going off here. There's no sirens at the moment, so we're good. I'm going to keep talking to you. But this is just a very live situation. You can see Israeli forces on the ground behind me. Behind my camera operator, Dave Copeland, there's actually smoke from where a rocket hit earlier on. But depending on the number of Israeli civilians who are inside of Gaza, that will determine the scale of the Israeli response. And it may very well be that the government of Israel feels it has no choice but to mount some kind of large-scale ground offensive into Gaza in the densely populated cities of Khan Yunis, of Gaza City, where there are so many civilians among these Palestinian militants. And it is a situation like that we have already seen what appears to be a very serious loss of life this morning. But an Israeli ground invasion inside of Gaza could take this death toll to a whole new level. So everyone in this region is holding their breaths right now. Guys.
Raf Sanchez, you and your team continue to stay safe. We'll let you go for now, but we will be checking back with you later this morning.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.